Hi and welcome to GeNa. I thought I'd do a quick little level design demo just to show you what you can do once you've got GeNa set up. So here we have a nice environment that I previously created in Gaia, and over here we have a sort of an interesting little rocky area. So the first thing I'm going to do is create some walls. So what I've done is I've actually set GeNa up so that it's doing a really tight height selection and just add some walls. So you can see it's nicely conforming to the environment, and we've just added some nice little walls into this area. I might even just put some over here as well, just to add a little bit of depth to it. So GeNa has done all that just with a few clicks. Next thing I'm going to do is I've set up some other ones with again a fairly specific and controlled set of criteria. I'm just going to make along the top of this hill a nice little rock wall. This is an example. This is one of the things that I was trying to solve with GeNa, which is the whole how do you create nice walls. So I just map that around. So there we go, we've got a nice little rocky outcroppy walled area. Now the next thing I want to do, now that I've done that, is maybe just put some detritus around the base of the wall. So you can see we're just adding these in. And I might just also put some sort of little rocky ledge type rocks along there to create more of a interesting variation in there. And around here might just put some more of my little wall filler. So there we go, that looks pretty cool. Now the next thing I want to do is add some houses. So in this spawner, what I've got is 12 different houses, or 12 small holdings from the latest village exteriors kit. And when I click spawn, GeNa will randomly spawn one of these things for me. So I click there and spawn. So GeNa's actually placed everything into that scene and conformed it nicely to the terrain. Now if I go over here and maybe put another one in here, so it's built a nice little sort of farm. And you know what's sort of powerful about this is you'll notice that everything works with the terrain. Well, I've set the buildings to sit above the terrain. And maybe we'll add another little holding down in here. Put one there and say one there. Maybe another one over here. So we've got, you know, around our rocky walls, we've got a nice little sort of community growing. So the next thing I want to do is maybe place a few more random rocks there. So maybe I'll just place a few of these around the place, just to add a bit of interest. You know, I could actually spread these out a bit, so I'll increase the throw range, and you know, the rocks will cover a wider area. Not too many rocks. Next thing I want to do is add some Alaskan cedars. So we'll just pop them around, and you know, just to show you how fast and how powerful this, I'm going to actually populate the entire terrain. So I'll just select my area, shift control. Bam, we've just done the entire terrain. It's actually selected for similar areas wherever I've clicked. You know, just I might go and put some up in the higher mountains as well. So you notice it's actually populated there and down here as well. So we've got a nice smattering of trees. Now I also sort of like the white oaks, so I might put a few oaks in here as well, just to add a bit of colour. Maybe another couple of them in here. Over here and here. So just, you know, add a few, clump them up a bit so you get a nice sort of interesting environment. Now the last thing I want to do, so I've created an interesting wall. In fact, I might just see if I can even improve this wall a bit more, although there's not a lot of space to put more stuff. Maybe there's my tall wall, a few more down there, maybe a few more along here. And maybe beef it out with my fat wall a bit more. interesting thing is they are all doing a reasonably good job of avoiding the trees. Okay, so we've got plenty of rocks here. Maybe I'll put some more just over here, just to make the area more interesting. More variation in the heights. You notice how it's nicely conforming to the areas that I'm clicking in. So I'm building these natural barriers. Maybe a few more tall ones just to add a bit of interest around here. Okay, and last but not least, a few in here. And might be getting a bit close, but there you go, there's a couple there as well. Alright, so the last thing I want to do is add some grass. So I'm going to put some rough grass down first. So it's sort of hard to see, but as I'm clicking here, guy is painting in grass. And just paint more grass in around here. And around here. You know, I could actually run this grass across the entire terrain as well. So why don't we? How many instances have we got? So let's just find a nice flat area and go Shift Control. So now it's actually going across the entire terrain and looking for terrain that's similar to where I've clicked. So I'll just wait for it to finish. This is a 2 kilometre by 2 kilometre terrain, so it's quite large. And what's actually happening here is using the way GeNa works is it always measures the height and the slope and the textures and the environment in which you click, and then depending on how you've set up your spawn criteria, it'll find similar environments to place that around the entire terrain. So we have a look around now. We've actually got this nice covering of grass. So let's spruce things up a little bit more. Let's add maybe some wildflowers around the house here. So I'm just clicking in, put in a few wildflowers, and we'll have a look at this in a second. So I've got some wildflowers, and let's put some cattails. Let's just put them down in amongst the rocks here. And Gaia is actually, GeNa is adding in a bit of variation just to make this more interesting. Maybe some red flowers, some nice poppies. So again, it's just adding a little bit of colour to the environment. I could run this across the entire environment, but at the moment I'm just choosing to run small, custom versions of it. And then something that's really rather cool is, let's see where I can put them. I'll put them over here. This one here is actually 2 grass spawners. It's 2 different types of grasses. And what I've done is if you look at the spawn criteria, as I swap between them, you'll see them swap. Sort of hard to see, but basically we're using Perl and noise to select for opposite spots. So when I apply this, what it's actually, whoops, I pressed the wrong one. When I apply this, it's actually matching the grasses up. So you see there's, the Perl and noise has actually created this variation between the 2 types of grass. So we'll just go and add a bit more over here. This sort of, this particular one is nice because it's got some nice colours in it. Don't want to overdo it though, maybe just a few more around the place. And again, you could apply this to the entire terrain, but I'm just putting something together that's pretty quick. Alright, so, let's add some logs. I should have probably added the logs before I did the grass, because the grass will now be sitting through them. But let's just add in a few logs. So you probably can't see them, but they are adding them. Just looking for 3 spots on the terrain. You can see the logs popping in there. Alright, so we spent a bit of time. We started with nothing and we've now created this. Let's see what we've created. So here's the variations in the grass that you can see. Here's our rocky ledges and the mountain walls that we created. They look pretty cool. And Notice that the variations in the trees, so I set up my spawners to select different versions of the same trees. Let's go and have a look at our little farm that we set up. It's pretty cool. Let's go and have a look at more closely in here. Here are the other farms we set up, all nicely conformed and working with the environment. Here's our rock walls that we created, which look rather cool. You know, I would add a little bit more grass. There's some of those little yellow flowers and the poppies and the various different types of grasses we added in here. I'd probably add a little bit more in here just to make it a little bit more interesting. Yeah, there's the wild oaks that I added in just to add a bit of colour. And let's go and have a look. I didn't go too far along with all the different environments. You can see though, you know, in a very short amount of time, we've created something that's the beginning of a nice environment in which to make your game. And that is, it's not all of the features of GeNa, but it's some of them, and all of that's, you know, something that personally I really enjoy using. Okay, so on that high note, let's see if we can get up into these rocks here. I hope you enjoyed the video.